Hey guys, I wanted to talk about my V911 and the things that I did that got it flying as good as it does now. So when I first got this thing and it was stock, I had just lots of problems with stability and keeping it stable and keeping it flying well, and like spending a lot of time tweaking all the little parts of it. It's finally flying really good now. So first off, a couple of upgrades that I did. Namely, I got the metal head upgrade kit. I found that on eBay. It was like $5 shipped from China. And it was kind of confusing initially. There was another YouTube video that showed how some guy put it together, but I mean, once you really take a close look at this thing and take it apart once or twice, it makes a lot more sense in how it works. So the upgrade, or the metal head kit is really nice. It's definitely a lot more stable and balanced when it's flying. Another upgrade that I got was this Delrin gear. This is the V911, but I guess it's a clone of another helicopter called the Solo Pro. So the gear was actually filed on eBay under Solo Pro and not V911, but it's all the same parts. But this gear is made out of a different material, and these little holes in the gear are actually angled a little bit, so it helps provide a little additional lift while this thing's taken off, and it helps it just like lift faster generally. So another thing I did was put a little dab of super glue in the tip of the fly bars on the bottom. I guess those weights have a tendency to fall off. And then also I put a little dab of super glue on the back of the tail rotor just to keep those wires protected. You can see from the paint on mine that it's taken a few crashes, and this thing still keeps on ticking. I still haven't had to buy another one. So I also broke this part off of the tail fin about a week ago, and I bought a replacement part, but it appears that this one is glued on and it's a pain in the ass to take off, so I just have been flying without it and it seems fine. So a couple of things that I did to tweak it to get it flying very well. Once I put this metal head on, it was kind of tough adjusting or finding out where this piece is supposed to be. So I mean, if you look close, right now it's sitting a little bit to the right. And so what you have to take into consideration is when this thing is actually flying, the swash is going to be a little bit higher. And so when it's higher when it's flying, it's actually going to be floating right about the middle. And I found that's what works pretty well. Also, if you look on the top, the little buckles that go onto the head here, you got to make sure that those are perpendicular to this metal bar coming off. So I mean, they should be like a straight 90-degree angle from that metal bar. Also, you'll notice that when you're looking at it directly from the top, that this angle here looks about the same as this angle here. And for whatever reason, I mean, mine always drifted to the right, I said. So when you look at it from the front, you can see this right one's a little bit higher than the left one, and it looks kind of weird in real life, but the way that that's set up and the way that the trim is set on my remote, it flies pretty well. Another thing that I noticed too is the body. I mean, those little white arms in there are what controls all the movement of the helicopter. Gosh, this doesn't focus. So you can see mine are a little bit off when you look at it straight from the back. The one on the left is a little bit higher, actually a significant amount higher than the one on the right. That's just, I had to take that off, and that's just how I got mine to fly best. It's best to just tweak these around a little bit and see what works best for you. I imagine different helicopters require different tweaking settings. But a big thing I learned kind of late was I was pinching on the body, like the nose part, pretty tight just to make sure it stayed on. And like, that's good, but it really doesn't need to be on that far. And so when I was putting it on too far, when those little white arms were moving there, when I was controlling the helicopter, it was rubbing against it and just causing it not to be as responsive as it should have been. So, I mean, I just try putting it on there and just leaving it off just a little bit. I mean, you can see on this left one here that there's just like a tiny bit of the nub hanging out, and that's really all that you need. Other than that, I mean, this thing has been flying pretty great. I also bought a carbon fiber bar that replaces the main shaft. And that was also made for the Solo Pro, but I guess that one's a little bit longer, so it really wasn't working with all this upper linkage here. So I got to mod that later. I'm just got to saw that down and drill a hole in it. And I also got the paddle bar fly bar mod, where it has like little paddles on the end, and I guess that makes it a lot easier to fly outside, even in windy conditions. But that's another task. So that's pretty much it. This is a great little helicopter. It was kind of a pain in the ass to get going at first, but after spending some time figuring everything out, it flies great now, and it's very, very fun to fly. So I hope that this has been educational for you and helps you get your helicopter in better shape.